Hi, this is Tom Soane, and I'm going to have a rant about women in property. And I might be a bit controversial with this. I might be going against the grain, but I think we've got a weaker property industry because of this topic. So I wanted to share my thoughts and my opinions to hopefully spark your thoughts and your opinions so that we can open the discussion and do something about this before it's too late. And you know, this all started because I read a Facebook post from a lady who's a property investor, and she was really pissed off because she was being discriminated against or oppressed. I think that's the right word for this situation, but oppressed by males in the property industry, estate agents, construction workers, tradesmen. And you know what? One person even said, I think I should talk to your husband. Now, that really pissed me off. I read this post and it really pissed me off because, and I wanted to explain why, so that to give it a male perspective, right? So this topic is very female led, and I wanted to add a male perspective to it. So first of all, the phrase is very true. Behind every great man is a great woman. Now, that doesn't mean that a woman is 100% responsible for a man's achievements. And I don't think any women think that either. I certainly don't think any man thinks that. And that's good. But behind every great man is a great woman, because every man who has achieved anything in life has done so because of some contribution from women. Now, that might be your wife, it might be your mum, it might be a business partner, a colleague, an employee, a friend, anything, a supplier. So it doesn't mean that one is responsible for the whole thing. That certainly is not true. So, but I wanted to kind of recognize that a bit and give you some examples. So the women in my life, for an example, obviously there's my mum. Now, my mum is my role model. She's my inspiration. Now, I was raised by my mum for the most part. I've got a fantastic relationship with my dad, proper father-son relationship. But you know what? When I was a little kid, it didn't work out between them. So they both went their separate ways and I lived with my mum. Now, my mum is an absolute powerhouse. She's a super strong woman. She's hyper intelligent. She's independent. She's driven. She's massively determined and motivated. And she really does inspire me and my brothers and sisters to achieve more and to be the better versions of ourselves all the time. So I could not have done anything in life without my mum. And I think that's probably the same for a lot of people. And that's obviously woman number one. That's just one. Then there's my wife. My wife, Leanne, is a superbly strong woman. She's a powerhouse. She doesn't take any shit from anybody, even me. And she's so intelligent and creative and funny. And she's driven and determined. And once she starts something, she sees things through to the finish. Now, just to give you a bit more of an insight into my life, my wife chose to be a housewife. She wanted to raise our children. She wanted to manage me and manage the house. And that's what she wanted to do. Before that, she was a career woman, a very high achieving career woman. And she made that choice. And she may well go back to that career in the future. That's totally up to her. But she made that choice. And just to let you know, by the way, our children are 4 and 1. So they're very, very hard work. They're relentless. And so she's got her work cut out for her. She's got one of the hardest jobs on the planet. And she runs her own business. And she works part-time as well. Now, I don't know many men that could do that same feat and achieve that same thing. And then in my working life, you've got Lee, who is a powerhouse of a woman. She is so intelligent and driven and strong and independent. And also doesn't take any shit from anybody. And I can rely on her and she can rely on me. And she is actually probably my manager, I would say. She's the one that keeps me going in the right direction, keeps me on track, makes sure I'm doing the right things at the right time. But she's incredibly creative, she's intelligent and organized, and I could not do anything that I'm doing without Lee driving me. And then there's Kerry, who works in my sales department. She's a major driver for that business. I call her a little firecracker. She just doesn't stop. She goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And she's so intelligent and strong and independent. And there's loads of women like those women I've just described. In fact, I would say most women have to be strong and independent and driven, because in this world, in the property industry, which is heavily male dominated, if you want to be in this industry as a female, then unfortunately you have to have a skin that's twice as thick as everybody else. You have to be twice as strong as everybody else, twice as driven, twice as motivated, twice as hard. And that's what part of the problem is. And Kirsty Wallace up in Newcastle, I've only met her a few times and spoken to her a few times, but she's helping me with property up in Newcastle, and she's an absolute powerhouse. when you just know somebody is formidable, and an absolute powerhouse is the best way to describe it. She's smart, she's driven, she's strong, she's independent. And just women like that have to be twice the amount of all of those things in the property industry. And I think that's a problem, because it is a male dominated industry. And if you look at estate agents, heavily male dominated. If you look at surveyors, heavily male dominated. And property investors are heavily male dominated. Tradespeople are heavily male dominated. And look, throughout the property industry, it's heavily male dominated. And I think that's a serious problem for our industry, which we need to address. I think that we have a weaker property industry because of that male domination. Now, why do I think that? Well, let me give you, hopefully this explains it. Let me give you an insight into the way my brain works. I like to absorb other people's opinions. I like to learn as much as I can about everything I can from as many different angles as I can. So in the property industry, where it's so male dominated, I think that we're not getting as full a picture and as big a picture as we could have. Because I don't know what the stat is. And by the way, this is a totally spontaneous rant, a totally spontaneous video. I've got no preparation, I've got no research, I've got no stats or notes. I'm just banging this out as quickly as I can because I read that Facebook post and it just sparked off an emotion in me which I felt needed to be shared, because I want to spark a debate with this. I want to spark other people to get involved, male and female. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. But I don't think we're seeing the bigger picture, because let's just say the stat is that the estate agency world is 65% male dominated. Then from the estate agent's ability, or the estate agent's ability to see the whole industry from all perspectives is reduced by 15%. Because if we had a balanced view, male and female, of the property world, then we would have the full view of the property world. But we don't have that. And that frustrates me, because I want to learn and know everything from all angles. I want to absorb all of the opinions and perspectives and information, tips and advice from all angles, from all people, male and female. And we don't have that in our industry right now. It's the same in property investing. When I invest in property and I go to an agent, and normally I'm speaking to a bloke, and that is fine. All right, I've got by so far, but I feel like I could be doing better if I spoke to a bloke and a female. And it really irritates me. Branch managers in estate agents are predominantly male. That means that the male management mentality, the MMM, the male management mentality dominates that office. The male strategy for dealing with problems, the strategy for dealing with clients is all male generated. And I think that's a problem. I think we're missing out on huge growth because we don't see the full picture in our property industry. Now, I think the problem is very deeply embedded and it will take a lot of time to resolve. You can't just overnight say, right, employ more women. Because I think the problem is at the root. I think the problem is at the root of people in general. But if we just start with our property industry, then maybe we can show everybody that it works. Because I absolutely 100% know it works. I guarantee it works. If we had a 50-50 share of male and female in the property industry across the board, I promise you our property industry would be a better and stronger place. Right? Agree with me or disagree with me. I'd love to know what you think of that. And I'd love to know from male and females what you think of that. I definitely believe that. But because it's so deeply embedded, and I'll give you an example, like the obvious example is where if you've got exactly the same, if you've got two people with exactly the same credentials, experience and ability, and they say exactly the same thing in an interview, but one's male, one's female, then you can be sure, I think anyway, that the male is more likely to recruit another male. Now, I'm not saying that is statistically proven. There's been no experiments as far as I know. But I'm saying that's probably the case because I've heard so many people complain about it, and I've heard so many people claim that that's the case. So again, I'd like to know your thoughts on that. Now, you might be someone who isn't like that, and I don't think people, look, for all the people listening and watching this, I don't think people set out to intentionally discriminate against women or intentionally not employ a woman because she's not a man. I don't think that's intentional. I don't think you consciously think, right, today I'm going to recruit people, I'm going to interview people, and I'm going to interview male and female, but I'm only going to recruit a male. I think as an employer, this might just be my perspective, but for me, I'm looking for attributes, I'm looking for abilities. And I don't think there are some people that do anything better than other people. I don't think there are any men that do things better than women or women do things any better than men. I'm looking for your skill set. I'm looking for your ability to speak to customers. I'm looking for your ability to handle issues. Now, I think there are a lot of people out there that would lean towards recruiting a male if you're a male because of your deeply embedded root subconsciousness. And I think that's wrong. I think you're missing a lot of great employees. You know, one thing I do know about the women that I employ, and sorry guys that are listening to this, but the women seem to be much more driven to completing things and determined to achieve than men. So that's just my perspective of that. But then men have traits too. But the problem I'm trying to get at is that deeply embedded mentality across the board, across the industry. And I think that detriments our industry. I think we're missing a chunk of knowledge and a chunk of input and contribution because we are male dominated. So I'd love to see a 50-50 split. Definitely. So how can we get there? Well, look, history is history. Actually, if you go back however many years, then women were the traditional, I guess, idea of a woman, where women, yeah, you do stay at home and you do look after the kids and you do clean the house and you do all of those things. And the husband does work. The husband goes to work, comes home, puts his feet up because he's had a tough day. You know, that's how it was. Now, in my life, I try my best to get home from my work and help Leanne, my wife, with her work. And I try and help her with the kids. I try and help her with the house as best I can. I try and help her with her business. And I try and help her with her part-time job. She's got problems and challenges and issues and frustrations and stresses just like anybody else. But the difference is she has the same stresses and frustrations and irritations that I have, but she's also got to look after the kids all day, every day. So I try, for me anyway, I try and get home from work and proactively say, right, let's help with the kids. Right, let's help with this. What can I do to help Leanne? Come on, I want to help. Because it works better for me as well. If I've got a happier, more relaxed wife that knows that she can rely on me and knows that I'm going to try, then she's happier in herself, then my children are happier, and we're all a happier family unit. Now, I've veered off topic a little bit here, and I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet. I know I can do more, and I try my best. I try to get in from the office at a good time to give Leanne a break. I try not to work late. Look, I'm a business owner. We don't work 9 till 5, right? Any other businessman and business owners will know this. But I always try and make sure I get back at a time that gives Leanne a break. I try and help out with the bedtime routine, and any parents out there will know that that's a tough time of the evening. And then I try and talk to my wife to find out if she's got any problems I can help with. She helps me with my problems. And you know what? Sometimes we just sit down of an evening and have a bit of banter. Really what I'm getting at here is to try and say that there is no male and female. We're just both people. And we both have jobs, and we both try our hardest to help each other out with our jobs. I couldn't do mine without her. She can do hers without me. I couldn't do hers. She can do mine. But I try and help her. She tries to help me. But if you look back throughout history, that's what we're trying to get out of. And we have come a long way. You know, I don't think there is that automatic mentality with everybody that women stays at home, man goes to work. I don't think that's across the board anymore. It's certainly nowhere near where it needs to be. But I think there's a lot of work to do. But that's our history, isn't it? So we have to work hard to get that changed. But where can we go? Look, I don't think... I'm just relating this to the property industry, and I've just had a little rant there, sort of veered off topic, haven't I? I always do that. But where can we go? What can we do? How can we improve? Because I don't think as a property industry we can really progress until we see a very equal share of women and men in the property industry. I don't think we can progress if we don't get there. Now, I do think we can progress slowly, but I don't think we can progress to where we need to progress to. I think we're missing a lot of growth because we don't have enough women in the property industry. I think we can grow faster with women in the property industry. So what am I trying to say here? Look, estate agents, next time you recruit, take your own emotion out of it. Take your own ego out of it. And look at the person for the person. Look at the person in their ability to do the job, their ability to provide the service or complete the tasks that you need them to do. Lawyers do the same. Construction companies do the same. If you can do that, then you will be much better. You will be much better as a company, and you will be contributing more to the property industry. So hopefully, look, I can't tell you how to do that. There is no way to do it either. I think that you just have to try, because if we don't try, we won't know. And if we don't try to make a change, then no change will happen. And I want to improve our property industry. I want to make it a better place for everybody to work in. I want to grow the property industry as much as I can so that look, I'm not going to lie, so that I can achieve more in the property industry. But I want to try and grow in the property industry. I want to try and grow the property industry. I want to try and achieve more for myself in the property industry. And I want to grow my business. And I think the best way I'm going to do that is by trying to help the industry as a whole, because if the industry grows, I grow. It's as simple as that. So look, recruitment is just the first part, isn't it? Recruiting capable women is the first part. There's also how we work with women, how we as men work with women that are customers, women that are suppliers, women that are bosses, and women that are, I don't know, all other partners and all of those things, business partners, recruits, all trainees, apprentices, all of these things. The way that we think about working with women. Now we have to, as a property industry, we have to encourage women to come and work so that we can get all perspectives, so that we can learn all angles and all sides of the property world. Because if we don't do that, we are a weaker property industry. And I take offense to all of this on behalf of my mum and my wife and Lee and Kirsty and Kerry and all the women in my life that contribute heavily to any achievement that I can achieve or have achieved. So I take offense to this whole matter. And do you know what? I hope you do too. Because the lady that I'd seen that Facebook post from, and I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want to kick anything off for her, but the lady that I saw that Facebook post from was articulate. She was obviously a seasoned property investor, obviously a clever property investor. And if I'd have given anybody her credentials without mentioning her sex, then I think anybody would have been impressed. Now, I want everybody to join me in my opinion. I want everybody to agree with my opinion. There aren't enough women in property and we're losing out because of it. So I think we all need to look, if you are a male and you're a recruiter, then I think that you're in a position where you can help and make a difference. You're in a position where you can help and make a difference, but you have to have some faith in that. You have to trust yourself to be able to judge a character well. I want you to give them a chance. I want you to give them as much chance as you would with any man, and I want you to take them at their word. Let's work together at building this property industry, and the way we will do that is by having a much more balanced perspective from the male side and the female side, and all of us joining together to grow our property industry. Because right now, if we don't change this, then our property will not grow at the rate we want it to grow. So that was my rant. I hope it sparked something, and if it didn't, at least it got it off my chest. And to all the women out there who feel like you are not being treated in the same way with the same respect or discriminated against, then please stay strong, because I for one want this to change in my industry. Obviously I want it to change everywhere, but my industry is my industry. I'm going to start there. Look, if I've got any women followers that want to add a contribution to this, I'd love to interview you and get your perspective on this. I think it'll be a really valuable, balanced opinion. That's my opinion on it. I'd like to get a woman's opinion on it. So that, again, going back to what my whole point was, I want a balanced view. I want to absorb all information and all advice from all angles, from all people. So if you're watching this or listening to this and you have an opinion on it, then get in touch with me. It's tom@pinkstreet.co.uk. tom@pinkstreet.co.uk. And I will reply to that. And if you want to have a discussion, then I want you to come on my podcast. I want you to go on my Facebook page and we'll talk about it together. We'll get your opinions out there. Maybe you're a man who believes in what I believe in the same way, and you do everything you can to support your wife, and no matter what she's doing, and you work together as a team. That's the best way. That's the dream, right? Work together as a team. No one's better than another. You both have a job to do. It doesn't matter who's a male and who's a female. You both have a job to do. And some people's jobs are harder than others, and some people's jobs take longer than others. Some people's jobs are 24/7. Some people's jobs aren't. But you all have a job to do, and you all have to support each other, and you all have to work as a team. So let's grow our property industry. We can do it by starting here, where what we're talking about right now is the start. So, whew, that was a rant, huh? Anyway, I'm going to go. My name's Tom Soane, and this is the Anonymous Landlord.